Welcome to Like Pigs in Space, an arts and culture podcast. I'm Aaron Mason.
And I'm Max Mason.
And we're back again, and it's recap time.
Yes.
Or field report.
The field report week.
Which it's number 4. Mm-hmm. So it'll be episode 40, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So
it is kind of crazy to think about.
And we're still doing this.
Yeah.
I mean, we have some longer running ones to catch up with, so
right.
You know, maybe we'll do 3 times a week just so we can catch up with the brothers and really annoy everybody. That'd be funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a fun last few that we've done, and we should play catch up, and then we'll jump into. I get to start us off, but first, what's been your week in arts and culture this week?
My week?
Yeah, anything?
I've been, not just this week, but recently been kind of bombarded with this this band. I don't know if you've seen them too. They did was it KEWP? Some channel that does like little band performances, like a YouTube channel or something.
Yeah, okay.
With this like microtonal duo.
What's that like?
So they have these like special made guitars.
Okay.
And that have like, it's mostly just like quarter tones. So like in the frets on like a normal guitar, it's all half steps. So they have theirs where most of the guitar neck is quarter steps instead of half steps.
Oh, weird.
So you get like these extra tiny note, like instead of something, stuff like that. I don't know. I'm not going to say their name right because it's in French, but Engine de Poitrine.
Okay.
Poitrine. So it's a guitarist and drummer. The guitarist has this like double neck special thing where it's a bass and a guitar.
Okay.
And then they're all like, they have these like costumes where they're all like black and white polka dot with these big weird masks. And
I've seen something that sounds familiar. I've seen the stuff. There's
one song or one part of the performance that I kept seeing a ton of that I was just like, I think this is fine. It just sounds kind of, there's, King Gizzard.
King what?
King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
Oh yeah.
They have a microtonal album that is a lot of fun. It's really, it's weird, but they do some fun stuff with it. And so I was thinking like, this kind of just sounds like bad microtonal music. But I finally started hearing some other portions of the performance. I was like, okay, this is actually pretty interesting and a lot of fun.
Yes, I have seen this. I'm trying to remember what song I have seen these guys, and I keep rolling past it going, what is this? Do I want to hear it? And then going, I don't know if I want to. I don't get the idea of the costumes. And so anyway, yeah. So I'll have to look at that. Is it good, or you just been bombarded?
The stuff I've started hearing more of, aside from that one song, I do think is pretty good. And it's interesting use of, like, aside from the microtonal stuff, they also are like pretty complex in other ways. And they're doing a lot of looping and stuff live with it too, which is really cool, and you can like manipulate the loops in weird ways. So I do think it's pretty cool in that way.
Cool.
So that's fun.
I saw again this week that something that made me think of you. It was the performance with an octabass.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen? You have to have seen those, right?
This is a huge bass.
Yeah, it's a huge one, and it has to have like key levers on the side of it to be able to, like, he's bowing it, but he has to do all the fingers because he can't reach anything with these like levers to play. So it's like it's piano and monster bass, and it looks wild, and it's it was for there's some pieces written with that in mind because they were trying to get this ultra deep bass,
Mm-hmm.
and it accomplished it. Like it's interesting to hear it.
Yeah.
So
They have one
um,
in Arizona.
an octavase.
Yeah, they have like that music museum. I
Oh
think
yeah,
in Phoenix somewhere where they have the octabase and it almost feels like the whole museum is kind of built around it because you have to have a huge room for the sound waves
oh
to really work. And they're just because they're such big sound waves. So it has this
right.
huge room to itself
That's
just so you
wild.
can play the bass.
That's interesting that you'd have to. You wouldn't think about whether or not the sound would work
Hmm.
just because the room was not big enough.
Yeah, it's weird.
So I wonder what happens if you play it in a smaller room. Does it just break stuff?
Maybe. I mean, at that big. When I was in college and I was doing the double bass stuff, a lot of the other double bass players would try to get into the actual concert hall to
Yeah,
practice because it would just sound so much better than being in the little standard practice rooms.
right,
Just having even at that size, just having to have how the sound waves can fully expand in that
right.
room, which is
So
weird to
it's
think that
yeah,
it's
it's
physical stuff instead of just noise.
well, and I understand concert halls are designed a certain way
Hmm.
to help with the music and help, just like Gamage.
Hmm.
All of the balcony sections float.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
They have openings behind so the sound can travel up through the whole structure.
yeah,
So, so it's accounting for sound waves flowing correctly.
hmm,
So that's kind of cool. Yeah.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah. How about you? Have you been your
I
recent
yeah.
artistic consumption?
Um I continue to write quite a bit,
Uh huh.
and but what I this week I went to Juarez,
Mm.
and on the way there I drove to a place that we'd gone looking for rocks, and I had thought, oh, I need to go further out because it's probably picked over close to where you park, and so I walked further and I found stuff, and it was good. But then
Hmm.
on the way home, because there's a dust storm coming,
Mm.
there's a big section of the road in New Mexico that's through an old lake bed, and it's
Okay.
just if it ever blows, it just blind. I could have gotten stuck, like trapped because too much dust, and it would just be you have to just pull over and wait.
Yeah.
So I took a route that I've been wanting to take before, that basically instead of when you leave El Paso, instead of going up to Las Cruces and over to so basically from El Paso you go up and then it's straight over to Tucson.
Okay.
The I-10 goes up to Las Cruces, which is about 50 miles, and then you're up high enough to go straight over. And it,
Mm.
varies a little bit, but that's basically it's a straight shot.
Okay.
And this route instead just goes straight from El Paso
Oh.
and kind of weaves and then follows the border. And you're
Hmm.
like a lot of the time you can see you're either really close or further away, but you can see the border wall,
Mm.
and then it gets to somewhere in New Mexico, and it starts kind of slowly moving away from the border, but it's still pretty close. So
Yeah.
I've always wanted to take that route, and it was delightful because there was nobody on it,
Uh
but you
huh.
also don't have phone signal, and kind of messes with your concept of time. And it does take longer.
Okay.
And it's supposed to be 55, and I did not go 55. So
Double
so it
double that.
was yeah.
Double it.
But then I was looking at the landscape, the and I was looking at it going, everything about this says that if I was to pull over and look, I'm going to find agates.
Hmm.
And so there's a big area where kind of where they probably had road working crews, like one of their parking areas,
Uh huh.
because it's a 2-lane highway, so there's hardly any place to stop.
Yeah. Right.
And so I was like, oh, here's a big wide. So I pull into it. I get out and I'm like, I look around for a second. I'm like, huh, there's one. There's one.
Yeah.
And I spent maybe an hour and a half out the other place that I knew was a place to pick up stuff and barely found anything. I spent 30 minutes and I filled up my bag and I had to dump it and go get another bag. And it was big agates.
Nice.
And just like, what the heck is this place? And then when I realized and then it was literally probably if I had just decided to give up and live there, it was at least 15 or 20 miles of the same conditions.
Hmm.
And so because I stopped 20 miles further down the road, 15 miles further down the road, I was like, okay, well, let me look one more time. Got out, boom, 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 big agate, big agate, big agate. Like, what a and I had no idea, but at least that whole distance, just on the side of the road, I could have found stuff that whole 15 miles.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of material.
Yeah.
So I was just, and then I'd look, because most of it had a fence right next to the road, and because it's people's land, I'm looking over going, there's tons there.
Mm-hmm.
That's, it's private land, so I'm not going there, but now I want to buy a ranch down here. I'm going to buy a rock ranch. So
yeah,
it was a pretty amazing, but that's over in New Mexico. And it makes sense because I went to the caldera that was in New Mexico, and it's kind of a continuation of that volcanic range through there.
Yeah. So there's a place out here, kind of, it's north of Mount Hood, where there was like a hole in the volcano at some point. So there's just like big kind of straight stretch of land that's all magma. That is
cool.
It's something like it's really tall too. It's like stands above the trees that are around it. So it's like this huge wall of magma.
Yeah.
Just kind of sitting there. So I bet there's probably some interesting stuff mixed in there.
Well, remember driving up to Rexburg?
Mm-hmm.
There's a huge section of volcanic flow.
Right.
And I looked at that on the map. It's massive.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you do the aerial, you're seeing just this little tiny bit of it, and it goes miles and miles and miles. I'm like, when did this happen, and how huge was it? Good grief.
Yeah.
So speaking of Black Rock, I'll use that as a segue.
Yeah.
In a way. So we began, episode 31 was My Chemical Romance and the Black Parade. And I did go and listen to this quite a number of times after hearing it.
Yeah.
And it was, it's interesting. It's interesting that they seemingly haven't produced a whole lot more. Like you're saying, it's supposed to be the end of their last thing, and then they've done one more or two more? Can't remember.
Yeah, they did one more after this.
Okay.
Two before, one after.
Okay, so 4 albums, and it's very, very theatrical, and it's interesting. I don't know how long. Well, let's think about this. For, let's say, a theatrical thing like this is probably in some ways unique to the 20th century. However, because prior to that, it would have been musical theater. And so I would say that this probably owes a lot to West Side Story.
Okay.
And Tommy, because West Side Story was, and it was kind of more of a gritty musical and telling a story of a hard life instead of everything's rosy and we're singing this huge production song.
Right.
And there's maybe other ones that had kind of pushed the envelope, but that's one of them. And then Tommy was this rock opera.
Yeah.
And so, and then you'd have that, and then you get to something like The Wall, and then you'd have, and so rock opera, and then depressing rock opera, and then so hard
Yeah.
life, rock opera, depressing rock opera, Black Parade.
Yeah.
Like you could kind of make a connection. I think they
Yeah,
fall in
yeah.
line with standing on the shoulders of each other. But it's always interesting when they're kind of giving that what they would call a concept album. But this one is pretty solid with the songs. So
Yeah.
it was I enjoy it. I think they're kind of a unique and enjoy it. Well, I don't know about unique, but because they started something and now they get copied. So I guess it is.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think I think still called them unique.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's really, and I'm really glad that it is something that exists, because I think it kind of had to with just Gerard's singing style.
Yeah.
Like it was always super animated and emotional, and if they didn't do something like a bigger production like this, it would have been a waste of that kind of that tone.
Yeah, I think for sure. And it's kind of like the what's the other group that is also kind of a theatrical style. It's wow, I can't believe I just blanked on it. But the one that's I don't know, Claire likes them.
I don't know of any bands Claire
Panic
likes.
at the Disco.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, and then you like a more poppy version of My Chemical Romance is kind of Panic at the Disco, which leads into there's a whole nother genre that's that area that's kind of American anime emotional singing stuff, like Has Been Hotel and all those kind of things, and Lemon Demon.
Yeah,
Lemon Demon's really the sillier version of Panic at the Disco. So it's just fun how everything kind of goes around those different, and that you can see tie-ins to each, but they still can make something unique. So that's good.
Yeah, I think in the way that and things keep looping around. Like, I know that they are on tour right now, and their stage show is even more like a musical now. Like, there's a lot more stage production than just the songs too. So I think
that's interesting, because usually you have somebody come in that's outside of the band to do the Broadway musical version of their songs.
Right.
It sounds like they went ahead and did themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fun. That's neat. It's like, no, we'll take care of it.
Yeah.
We'll be the tribute band to ourselves.
Right. Like, we already got this down. We have the costumes.
Yeah. There you go. It'll be cheaper. We'll take care of it. Nobody can do it like us. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, they're bound to do a better job than the other movie. It's so very bad. So there's the guy. So the guy who wrote all the songs for Meatloaf. His name is John. Yeah, Jim Steinman.
Okay. So
he wrote all those songs. They're not Meatloaf. Meatloaf sings them.
Yeah.
But Jim Steinman has this whole catalog, and he also did. If you listen to, you probably don't. I don't know if you know the song, but Total Eclipse of the Heart.
Yeah.
But if you listen to that song, it sounds the same because he wrote that song. Because I was listening to it one day, going, "Geez, I wonder if this is a Jim Steinman." Yes, it's a Jim Steinman.
I mean, it feels like a Meatloaf song not done by Meatloaf.
Right. And so there's somebody did a play that was something that's Jim Steinman songs telling this story, kind of a Peter Pan story, but post-apocalyptic and with all the songs, and it's terrible. It's like nobody's hitting like, the way it's cast. They just went for like whoever wrote it just wanted to do it as explicitly as possible. and just make it, play on the raunchy parts of the, like, focus on not the musicality, not the cleverness, but yeah, he mentions raunchy stuff. Oh, well, we'll focus on that.
Okay.
And all the characters are just awful and you don't like any of them. And the guy that's playing the main character, who's supposed to be the macho guy or whatever, is wimpy and scrawny and pathetic.
Yeah.
And doesn't have a strong voice. And so I'm like, this is bad. This is really, really bad. And it's not, it doesn't make sense. It just jumps into stuff and starts going, and it doesn't give you any context, or, like, oh, you're supposed to know this whole story. I'm like, nope. I can't invest.
Yeah.
And I love the music, but they ruined it.
Right. I feel like with a lot of those, like, jukebox musicals,
yeah,
I don't know if any of them are good.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just me, and that, none of them really even appeal to me. But like, anytime I see one, it's like, I just don't care for any of that.
Yes. Yeah. And some of them have gotten some acclaim. There's a Billy Joel one that was well thought of, won Tonys, but yeah, they're fine. It's more I put them in the category of musical review, not some landmark thing. So yeah. I'm glad that they're doing their own stuff, because sometimes the third party comes in and thinks, they're a fan, but they're terrible. I can't express how disappointing it was.
Yeah. So, right.
I couldn't make it. I usually can make it through most things, and I couldn't make it through it. So
wow.
There you go.
Man.
But speaking of things that you can make it through,
things that are theatric.
Yeah.
So our second episode, the Indian cinema review.
Yeah.
So I didn't watch all of these.
Sure.
I did watch Manal Mulali.
Mawari.
Yeah. It was great. It was super fun. I think it maybe didn't need to be as long as it was.
It does keep going, doesn't it?
It does drag just a little bit, but I really loved watching it. I thought it was a really good kind of superhero story. I thought it was really funny too.
Yeah.
And
cool.
I think I really like the ending. I've always thought that, like, villains who their motivation isn't them wanting to win, it's just wanting other people to lose.
Yeah.
Is really compelling, really interesting.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what he was. I mean, he had lost it at that point and, like, gone insane, and he's like, I don't need to survive. I just need everyone else to die.
That's which, if you flip it, and it's like the hero is saying the same thing. I don't need to survive. I just need me make it so everybody can live. I'm going to sacrifice myself and to meet my goal. That's heroic, but sacrifice myself to meet my goal to kill everybody, not so heroic.
Right. But yeah, I really love that one. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Oh, good.
And I think, I haven't seen a ton of superhero movies, like in like the Marvel, any of those. Okay. But I think it is at least as good as those.
Yes. Yeah.
As far as like story goes, and
it's considered the first Malayalam superhero movie.
Mm-hmm.
So Malayalam is South India. It's Kerala. So this was the language you were hearing, unless it was dubbed. The area that they were in is right around where I go.
Oh yeah.
So that was. It's always interesting to see those ones that are very, very south. Kerala, South India, is to see them filmed in that state is always interesting, because they're just really. It's cool. It's a different tone than some of the other.
I watched some like review of a guy talking about it, and he was like, he sounded like almost giddy in a way, and it's like, this is like our first superhero movie, and it was really, really, really great, and
Yeah.
I'm just gonna tell you all about it. And
Oh wow. That's so cool.
yeah.
That's I'm glad that it was recommended to me by Matthew. I get all my good Indian cinema recommendations.
Yeah.
And that was,
there's also a lot of scenes in it that were pretty like terrifying too.
Yeah.
Like when he like burns a shop down, him staring at the shop was a pretty scary shot. And and I don't think it was meant to be, but in the beginning they're having some sort of party, and Jason is the main guy. He's like dressed as Santa Claus.
Yeah.
And everyone's dancing around him, but he's standing still. Like that's in like any horror movie, that'd be like one of the scariest shots.
Yeah. That's really funny. That's awesome. And I've since, just to add to the South Indian thing, I think I told you, I think I mentioned it, but I watched it's called Chatapacha is the new one. That's the wrestling one. And that was, you're like, how can these all be the best thing ever?
Yeah.
And they're funny and they're hilarious and cheesy, but in the right way.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas some of the other in like Bollywood stuff is cheesy and it's just cheesy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, well, good. I'm glad you got to watch that. Hopefully over the course of some time, you'll be able to see some of the other ones, but that's a good one to start with.
Yeah.
It is Manal Murali.
Yeah.
There.
Murali. Yeah.
I always forget that. Yeah. Good.
In when they were saying it in the film, it seems like they don't say the middle, like Mural. It's like Muali.
Oh,
like Manal Muali.
Yeah.
How they pronounced it, but
that sounds about right. Yeah. It swallows up the.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, good stuff.
Cool.
I'll have to watch some more.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do the 6-hour one. But
well, it's 2 movies, okay? Did you share it with anyone, or you just watch it yourself?
I just watched it myself.
Okay. All right.
I'll have to share it.
Okay.
It
cool.
It was a good time.
Good deal.
Yeah.
So good. And then another video.
Mm-hmm. A little bit shorter one.
Yeah, I feel like this Invader Zim episode, I feel like it ties into My Chemical Romance in a way, because of kind of the origins of the creator. They're in the industry in like a comic book, film industry kind of thing.
Yeah.
And create this just crazy thing. That I think Black Parade's a little more serious. It's not so tongue in cheek, but yeah. But again, the Invader Zim, the backseat drivers from Beyond the Stars. I just remember this one, and going kind of through it again. It just is the just wildest cartoon that really seems like they are adding a bit of reality because they're trying to be serious. Like, oh, it's this, not to be real,
mm-hmm.
but you're watching it thinking, because it's not Bugs Bunny, right? You think it's not, let's see, Bugs Bunny is not, it's not Roadrunner and Coyote,
mm-hmm.
even though it kind of is. But and so you think, you have these very over the top people battling each other.
Yeah.
But then you get down to it, you think, oh, they're doing some physics that are more related to reality, and then it still heavily relies on cartoon physics and logic.
Yeah.
And just lets things happen that shouldn't. And especially when the thing I loved is that there's several episodes where like people die, and then they're in the next episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm just like, what does anything mean anymore?
Yeah.
Like, well, I mean, I know they were a main character, but come on. Like, no, they're back.
Right.
And that kind of logic really plays into how successful this episode is and how hilarious it is. And just the switching out the different drives, and I everything about it is super clever. Like there, it's almost textbook for how to sabotage, but while being sci-fi and unrealistic, it's still, the basics of it do work.
Yeah.
So
I don't. There's just so much. Like any other episode, there's maybe like 2 or 3 kind of things conflicting.
Yeah.
Or maybe even just like one.
What? Yeah.
And this one, there's 8 or so.
Yeah.
Conflicting like events all happening at the same time.
Exactly.
That everyone is fighting against in their own way. It could have easily been a huge mess of an episode, but it just feels very coherent and fun. And
yeah, I just like that series, and I'm glad you guys found it and shared it. I think that's the thing I'm most grateful for, is that a lot of times you guys would share this stuff with us, and so you've introduced us to a lot of stuff, and we're cool enough parents to hang out with you on these.
Yeah.
No, my mental goal when I was younger, like when I was a teenager, is that I was never gonna not be into what was new.
Mm-hmm.
Like I consciously made that decision of, I didn't want to be stale. Like, my parents listened to certain things, and then, they'd listen to my music and let me play it in the car and all that kind of stuff. But it's not like they went out and bought it. Whereas, you guys introduced us to stuff, and we, put it into heavy rotation and bought the albums and
right,
all that kind of stuff. So but we appreciate the feelers.
Yeah, I do think that was maybe kind of a unique life experience, because like all my other friends, their parents would like strictly listen to 80s music.
Yeah.
And that was it. And then I would always be like, well, not if I knew this was true or not, but like my dad's favorite band is Cake, and they're still pretty early into their career. And
yeah. That's a true enough statement, really. And I find, and I probably have an affinity for 80s music because I did grow up with it, and it is also kind of that era, like much before it, probably up into the 90s, let's say, and early 2000s, was limited. You had, you didn't have all the noise that we have now of anybody can do a song that sounds professional enough to make it sound like they have a record deal. Like they're coming from, they can produce content that is professional enough to seem like it has some kind of financial support behind it.
Yeah.
And
right.
And it can just be in there virtually done.
Right.
And they have easy access to looping and the fact that one of the best Gorillaz songs is just a preset on a keyboard is what started it. That good. Alone tells you.
Yeah.
So
I think they did that when they performed at SNL recently. I think he had the little keyboard there.
Yeah.
It's not even barely a keyboard, but
and it was the big gorilla finger.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was so good. It was so good. I want to run out and get that. There's a couple of electronic keyboards that are, I think, kind of holy grails. and
Yeah.
that I've learned about, and scents and things, and they do certain things, or they're just really unique. I've sent you a couple that were
Yeah.
that you're like, oh, this would be really fun to have, and then you go look for it, and it's like, it's not $5,000 really good to have, like this was a
Yeah.
$100 toy when it came out, but
Yeah.
it did more than it should have.
Right.
So
Yeah. That's
it's
that
neat.
one. Like the Gorillas one is the Omnicord,
Yes. Okay.
and if you can find one for like $500, that's a pretty good
Right.
deal.
Yes, I think
Um,
and I do think that's one of them that I was reading about.
yeah,
So
that one's
yeah,
really good. Not that this one's one that I've always really wanted is the OP one. That's
that sounds familiar.
yeah, OP one. Yeah. Okay.
Yep, that's
Yeah, a little keyboard, like all white with like basically.
oh yeah. Those are not cheap.
They're not. Yeah.
They even
The,
have the mini cord on here.
Another fun one that is like almost in kind of a mythical way is, do you know Aphex Twin? Have you heard of
Yeah,
him?
yeah.
He's kind of like, if there is a musical instrument that, or a thing that could theoretically make music, he's probably used it. And so he has these sounds on these songs where you're like, how do you even get this? And it's like, oh, it's the most obscure thing you've ever heard of that only one exists of, and somehow he got his hands on it.
I wonder if he knows Mark Mothersbaugh.
Oh yeah,
Like if they
I
work,
bet.
because I think Mothersbaugh works with Moog.
Oh, okay.
Moog. Or
Yeah, one of those.
he maintains a catalog of historical electronic instruments.
Hmm.
And there's a museum or just archive that Mark Mothersbaugh is in charge of.
Yeah.
And I think it's related to, you say it Moog or
I
Moog?
think it's Moog or
Yeah, Moog. Okay.
Maug. I don't know.
Moog.
I say Moog. I say Moog. Other people
Yeah,
say Moog.
Moog.
I think it doesn't matter.
Whatever it is. Yeah. I think Moog sounds good. Yeah, so I think it's associated with them somehow.
Yeah.
So
Something I kind of wanted to talk about, and this will relate more, well, not more, but also to another thing you talked about this week,
okay.
is kind of fits in and talked about a lot of very obscure things on your side
Oh yeah.
this round. Because I can hardly find anything talking about Don Chipote.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Like on Goodreads, there's like
Yeah.
20 reviews, maybe spanning 20 years.
Oh wow. Yeah.
And I think now if you want to find like a podcast talking about it, ours is the first one. Maybe just because it's the most recent, but like, no one is talking about this.
Sure. Yeah.
Aside from there's some stuff seems like it was probably a part of a like Chicano history class,
Yes.
but it was just that's about it.
That's really interesting because of course, that's where I learned about it
Hmm.
and studied it, and so I've heard a lot about it, and but it was all back then,
Yeah.
and it was celebrated at the time, but I don't know that it got picked up and continued to be celebrated.
Right.
And I don't know.
Probably it was pretty recent when it came out and when you had your
Yeah.
class, because it was like
Yes.
1999 it was republished, or
Right, and I probably was reading it just after it got published.
Mhm.
Like it was
Yeah.
within early 2000s. So
Yeah.
is when I took that class. So wild, huh?
Yeah. But like everything I have seen of people talking about it, it's like, it talks about how important it is and how this is like, pretty much the first Chicano novel
Yes.
in any sense. Like,
it's
it's fun.
yeah. It's funny it's funny the number of terms that it uses that you would think are modern,
Yeah. Right.
and they are not. They
Mm-mm.
were using those are at least 100 plus year old terms
Yeah.
that are still used. They're just part of the vernacular now. So.
Yeah. But I enjoyed reading it. I really liked I think I liked more of his commentary more than the story,
Yeah.
because the story kind of felt like it was like a radio show almost.
Oh yeah.
It kind of reminded me of like a Prairie Home Companion or something.
Yeah, what were we watching? What were we talking about? Oh, so and this may contribute to it too. It really feels like Agent Whatever Resigns, the Kenneth Fearing poem that we talked about.
Oh, yeah.
Because this or the and there's all this stuff happening.
Mm-hmm.
Or the other one, oh no, it's the guy that goes to be executed. It's also a Kenneth Fearing, where he's like, I didn't do it, and it's like the newspaper article butts in,
right,
and so it's kind of doing that funny thing where the protagonist is, he's kind of talked over,
mm-hmm.
and the real protagonist is the narrator.
Right. Yeah. I really liked his commentaries.
Yeah.
Kind of sad that nothing has changed, but
yeah, unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
That it's still this way. We have very short memories.
Mm-hmm.
Every 20 years we could repeat the same history and nobody'd remember. So yeah. So wild. That is really. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It is a really fascinating what it is.
Yeah.
So, and then another, the kind of first or unique things is the Symphonie Fantastique.
Yep.
And the talking about all with classical romantic music, the casual listener may enjoy it, and I enjoyed it, but that in particular, all of that music is one of those things where when you know music, it's even it really makes it what it is. You almost have to be educated in music to fully enjoy.
Yeah.
And it's like when you read, like, if you really know the background, of course, all of some of the folks I hung out with are all comic book people or whatever. And so a new Marvel movie would come out, or X-Men or whatever. And they'd be like, oh, this, and this. And I'm like, I don't know any of that. I've never read a comic book. I don't know this lore.
Right.
And so there'll be 400 inside jokes that I don't get that they've put into the movie.
Yeah.
Because a fan made it. But then I'll go see a movie where I know the background. And I'm like, oh, it's funny that they did that because this is this, and I can, and then I get to experience this. I'm watching this movie, and it's creating this experience that's about 4 times the experience of this one movie.
Yeah.
Because I know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is a really, really good piece on its own. And how you explained it would be way more enjoyable if I understood, like you're catching his inside jokes.
Yeah.
Is what I felt like, because you would understand when a time signature was really messing with you. You would understand when a key change shouldn't be what it is. You would, and the tonal differences. And and we've had this happen before. We'll be driving, and the one that was really funny is I explained something to you. I'm trying to remember what song it was, but I explained it, and I said, it kind of feels like this. And you said, well, that's because of this.
I think I think what we were talking about is maybe it was the Wallflowers.
Yeah.
No, Gin Blossoms.
Gin Blossoms. Yeah,
because they're from Arizona.
Right. They're
right? And you
Tempe
were talking
band.
about songs that sound like this song sounds like it's from Arizona.
Right.
And
Right.
so I was like, yeah, well, I think a lot of bands from Arizona like to use a minor 2 chord in their songs,
Oh,
which
yeah.
doesn't get used a lot in a lot of songs.
Yeah. There you go. I'm pretty sure when as I was talking about, it's like, it's got to be like the Tempe sound. And I
Hmm.
was explaining what that was. And you're like, well, it's this, like, you're like, okay, well, what it really is this. And so I could do the algorithm that would tell you which band out there is actually using the Tempe sound to some degree.
Yeah.
and and I could nail it from a educated point of view, and I would have to just listen and go, oh, this kind of sounds like it. But I mean, it's amazing. So Dead Hot Workshop, Gem Blossoms, Roger Klein, the Peacemakers, the Refreshments,
Hmm.
the Pistoleros, all of those,
Yeah.
each of them could play each other's songs and it wouldn't sound wrong.
Hmm.
So it was really a unique period of, and so specific. I don't know that there's ever been a song, a movement that made that big of an impression from such a unknown location.
Yeah.
Like, if you talked about the New York sound, well, yeah, New York has 20 million people. I mean, of course they
Right.
have a sound, right? Or London, a sound from London, but to be able to go down to Tempe,
Hmm.
a little college town, the only the only other band, and they don't even go together, is REM and B-52s because they're from Athens, and like,
Right.
why do these bands even exist from this town? And yeah,
Yeah.
it's a college town. I get that. But how could this possibly be these two huge bands from, if you know where Athens is, and if you've been to Athens, you're still amazed that these bands exist because there's nothing. I mean, it's
Yeah.
okay, but come on.
Right.
So
Crazy.
anyway,
Yeah.
so we did symphony. So great piece. Different takes. So
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
And then yeah, we did the Jerry Harrison Casual Gods.
Yeah.
So I think it was good. I think I liked how you talked about it more. Like it felt
Yeah.
like I could maybe pick up more on
Right.
the lyrics and the meaning behind them. But I really liked his guitar playing
Yeah.
on this.
Yeah.
It has that kind of like funk guitar where he's just like constantly strumming, but only picking out a couple of notes here and there.
Yeah. So, and you can tell, like, it's his sound, right? I
Yeah.
mean, it's his sound. And so that's, I think what's really interesting about it. I consumed this album heavily when it came out. Like, I
Yeah.
thought it was the best thing ever. And then I listened to it again. I was like, why did I like this so much? And then I listened to it again for this, and I was like, I really do like it.
Yeah.
and
It does that really I think it was in Rev It Up and a few other songs too.
Yeah.
He does that really cool thing where the riff will start playing and you can kind of get a feel like, oh, the riff started here, so that's one.
Yeah.
But then the drums come in and it kind of flips what the whole riff is.
Yeah.
I love that in songs. It's
Yeah.
super fun. Like in like Body Snatchers by Radiohead is a really good version, like example of that.
Right. So,
But it was really good. I liked Cherokee Chief.
yeah.
Like it felt really sinister
Right.
because it doesn't
Right.
because it doesn't sound like it's should be sinister. Like it sounds like kind of a workout 80s track. But
it does, but that's the thing, is even not reading the lyrics, just listening to the song when I first heard it, it's always been sinister. It's always been, I'm talking about somebody who doesn't have any regard for other people.
Mm-hmm.
And that is full of themselves and is going to get what they want. And, it's a serious message in that song for sure.
Yeah.
And and it's like you're talking about the Cherokee Chief. I'm like, you're talking about a car, but you're not talking about. I mean, this is heavy, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, well, good.
I think
Uh,
I need to maybe spend a little more time with Talking Heads too to see how all this comes out
oh yeah,
in their music.
I
But
I
yeah.
think it's worth. I think it's worth listening to the first album fully
Mhm.
and understanding them, and then listening to the last album,
Okay.
because the last album is actually fantastic. Still,
Mhm.
like I think is it Naked? Is that the? It's got a monkey on the cover,
Oh yeah.
chimpanzee.
Yeah.
Uh, that's and this one came out just after. So they had done True Stories.
Mhm.
They'd done that movie, and then the album came out, and I
Right.
don't think they did anything else after, until this.
Hmm.
And so it's yeah, it's I think this album is also way more David Byrne and where he was headed than it
Okay.
is old Talking Heads. So
Yeah.
um but that one, when you hear that, you can also, and then you go and listen to Casual Gods again, it might make it different.
Yeah.
So uh but still, it's fascinating.
Mhm.
Their whole thing is fascinating. So
Yeah.
good.
Cool.
And
Um.
then go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
so the essays on creativity, the
Yeah.
more of a think piece than a than
No, it
anything.
was so I was trying to remember what's in the middle. So the Ursula Le Guin, Kay Le Guin,
Yeah.
and
And the
I know and then you had the John Darnielle and then Adam Neely, right?
yes. Yeah.
Uh, so I know I'd heard the Ursula K. Le Guin, and I really do think that was the beginning of a new timeline.
Hmm.
Honestly, that
Yeah.
her agonizing over the fact that we're not enjoying fantasy was stated just as we were about to enjoy fantasy
Yeah.
as Americans,
Right.
um, and
Yeah.
which
I
was
mean,
really
I really don't
interesting.
know. Yeah. I don't know
Yeah,
any of the like context around any of this, this
yeah.
paper at all. So, I mean, it must have been significant.
I think it was necessary. Yes,
Yeah.
for sure. It wasn't like she didn't need to say that.
Hmm.
And then I'm trying to go back. What the John?
So
What
that's
was his?
the book about Master of Reality.
Yeah. So that's the one I started listening to. I listened to Master of Reality, and I was listening to that commentary on it. And there's something I'm trying to remember what it was. It was really the fact that he was writing about the way he wrote about it really fed into listening to Master of Reality,
Yeah.
and thinking about albums that way and writing these little essays on different albums is fun. And I
Hmm.
always like when somebody. The thing I like is when somebody takes something and takes a different view. It's kind of like this. A great book is Heart of Darkness.
Okay.
It's really fantastic, and they've made movies of Heart of Darkness. They've tried to make the movie, and there's a few of them out there.
Hmm.
The best version of Heart of Darkness is Apocalypse Now.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It is Heart of. I mean, that is what it is. That is the story,
Hmm.
but they don't tell you that, and it's a better version than any other attempt ever made.
Wow.
And it tells the story better than any by taking the story and putting it in Vietnam
Hmm.
instead of in the Belgian Congo, because
Yeah.
there's about 70 years, 80 years difference between when it was written and when Apocalypse Now was made.
Right.
And it tells the story so much better. And so I like that telling telling about something or speaking about something by telling about it in a different way is always, and then somehow that's the better, you understand it better because you start to let go of characters and storylines, and then you see meaning.
Yeah. I think that's what I had really enjoyed about this is when I first picked it up, I was thinking it was like a piece of fiction based on the story of Master of Reality, but Master of Reality doesn't really have a story in it. So it's just a story that features Master of Reality and in a way, gets past any of what the songs are into how they feel and the message of them.
Yeah.
And maybe even a little bit of like Black Sabbath in general and kind of their importance.
They're such a interesting band and are not what people think that they are.
Yeah.
I don't think and I don't know. Just I always go back. Black Sabbath was so fringe and evil when I was growing up, but they weren't, and they were just amazing. And everybody's like Ozzy Osbourne and biting heads off of bats, and that's not Ozzy. All these things that were media, and so I, kind of prevented from enjoying what I should have. It's really some amazing stuff.
Yeah,
and I was young.
Yeah, so I think if the only thing you know about Black Sabbath is the song Black Sabbath off the album Black Sabbath, then that's a pretty dark song. But everything else they do is like is a lot different than that song.
Yeah. There's War Pigs and there is
But even that one's not as like, it's dark in its own in a different way, but not as like demented as Black Sabbath is.
Right. Yeah. But
it's a great man. Have you seen the version of T-Pain doing Black Sabbath or doing War Pigs?
No.
It's really good.
I there's a version of Cake doing it that was when they were releasing that. I don't know if you knew this, but they said, "Hey, we're doing this song. We're inviting all of our fans to do a video for it of them, and whoever does the best job will use your video for our song, or we'll use some of." And so I don't know. I have to go back, but they crowdsourced the video footage, basically, is how they did it. And then they did a few. They had a lot of that where they were just like pushing off on doing videos that were scripted, and they were just getting on the street reactions to their songs and stuff, and like they just filmed people listening to their song. And reacting to it. So it's just I like all these different approach. That's a different approach. Hey, we've got a music video, but it's an anti-music video, and these are alternative approaches to what's normal. I think it's can be you say essays on creativity. I think it's essays aimed at showing that there's more creativity than what is accepted as creativity.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think two things is when 21 Pilots was doing their like longest music video ever.
Right.
I think they did a similar thing where fans could upload bits of themselves singing parts of the song, and it would just randomly cut it into the music video.
That's fun.
And the other thing I always think is funny about the cover Cake did of "I Will Survive," is that Gloria Gaynor doesn't like it.
Yep.
She's like, I like every version of this song except for the one by Cake.
I know.
I think it's because they changed one of the words to the F word, but
maybe,
or they just added it. But
hey, I've heard more about Gloria Gaynor lately. I'm glad she doesn't like it. She's a piece of work.
Oh, okay.
she's let's see, let me see what it was. I was like, oh wait, I don't like you anymore. Not that I was a huge fan. Yeah, so she is huge right wing.
Ah,
Yeah.
darn it.
So donated to Nikki Haley and Vivek Ramaswamy.
Oh yeah.
So so I was like, oh, she's kind of and she's outspoken about it, and it kind of has crazy views. So um
Glad that crazy people don't like cake.
yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine that you don't like the best version of it. You don't
Yeah.
deserve to like the best version of it.
Well, this was another thing that I was going to mention as a very obscure thing, even though it might not seem like it. Can't find anybody talking about Uncle Shelby's ABC book.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like I couldn't find. I mean, I have the book.
Oh, cool.
It was at Powell's. It was in like the comic book section. It was weird.
Well,
I guess there's pictures, but
yeah. Well, it was originally a comic, maybe a comic in Playboy, so maybe that's.
Huh. But yeah, it sometimes it feels like this just doesn't exist to a lot of people.
That's
but
interesting.
Reading through it, there's a few things I kind of bookmarked because I just thought they were super funny.
Okay.
So, and I think this might also play into what you were saying about like with the Symphony Fantastique kind of getting the joke.
Yeah.
So the first one here is the ABZ song.
Yeah.
So it's all one note. It's all an A. Besides like the second to last note, it drops down, then it'll go back up. But it's the key signature puts the song in B flat. In B flat, you'd be singing this very crunchy note with most of the chords, and it's like he has to know. I know he was a songwriter.
Yeah.
I don't know how in depth in like theory he was, but it just seems intentional enough that he would choose this key signature in that note.
That makes it even funnier.
Yeah.
Like, oh great, now we've got the musician's insight to it. It's even funnier.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
That one was good. I liked F is for finger. The handprint has 6 fingers.
Yeah.
So that's just, it's not just ABC that's out of order. It's also JIHKMLNOP. M and L.
Yeah.
Element. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just all kind of mixed up, but I think it's really fun. It was a really enjoyable book. It's another one of those things where if anybody does happen to have a passing interest in this book and looks up a podcast episode or even just goes on YouTube, our episode will be the first thing to see.
That's going to be the goal, right? Is just to have be the first of any obscure piece that we have come across. That inspires me to another obscure piece. I got to go find it that might not have a whole lot on it either. That actually, there's two. There's two that I've read. One's even more obscure. It's from when I was in high school, and it's awesome. But I'll have to find those. Maybe those will be a subject later on. But there are some that were pretty big deal at the time. One of them is, and I think it's lost. I think it's out of print, even regardless of the fact that it was from somebody very famous. So,
wow. Yeah. I think I was trying to think of some things too. And it's like, what are obscure, important things to me? And there's one I think of, but I think it's kind of maybe just because of when I was growing up and being a part of the internet. It's anything that could have been influential or new at the time is going to be remembered because it was of the internet. But also there's a lot of dense, weird stuff on the internet. So
the thing that I remember the thing that I think was so influential in the early internet that just kind of is like a lot of kids that didn't experience it don't understand it is flash animation.
Oh yeah.
because Strong Bad, of course, but then like Magical Trevor and the all that stuff, all these
Yeah, the
really
whole like
funny,
Newgrounds
yeah,
website.
yeah, yeah, all these really funny, pretty pretty well done animations
Mm-hmm.
that that are just like, that's not how it's done anymore. But it was
Yeah.
really
And it's
good.
like you can't even really watch them anymore because just Flash doesn't exist.
Right,
And
right. And so you hope that somebody recorded it.
yeah.
it's that's the funny part, is that the format disappeared.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that is just so wild, because it was significant. Like, there's whole websites of Flash games that we
Right. Yeah.
that we had.
That
I mean, that we had you guys on because they were fun little quick games,
mm-hmm.
and they were
I know
good.
that was the thing I was thinking about. Is like there's a lot of really great Flash games that I spent a lot of time playing.
Yeah,
Like the Balloon Towers or the I think Fancy Pants Adventure was a really popular one. Or even
yeah,
just that like stupid Slap the Monkey one. We had to like
yeah,
flick your mouse across the screen and
yeah. It was such a jump forward, because from 8-bit,
mm-hmm.
and now, like, I think it actually took a step back when that went away for
Yeah.
simple games. Like, simple games are not as animated as they were with
Yeah.
that. So
I think like the equivalent now would be like Candy Crush. And that's not
it's
it's a
not
pretty
great.
stark step down.
Yeah. And it animates, right? It does. It's pretty complicated animation, but they're just not as fun. Man, Flash
Yeah.
animation was fun.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
I think this is fun too. Interesting book to have.
yeah. I'm glad you have it. It'll
Yeah.
mess with your kids whenever they come on, or mess with friends. They're gonna.
Yeah.
That's gonna be another one of those litmus tests. If you can read this and you laugh and get it, instead
Mhm.
of being offended, but because it tells kids to go steal other parents' money and burn it,
Yeah.
then maybe we can hang out.
Right.
So yeah, good. Well, that's awesome. And then we get to, I feel like, in some ways, I feel like Manchester Orchestra is an obscure group that is
Yeah.
like, it's one of those ones that, again, not a lot of people would bring it up. Now, people
Mhm.
might have heard them, might know, but I wanted to compare their first album and this one, and then the next,
Yeah.
and then the third, when I was going through. And the first album was fantastic too. I mean, you're like, this was this change. Yeah, it was, but they had some really key elements in that first album that were
Mhm.
exciting songs that made you want to listen to the second album.
Yeah.
I guess is what. And then
Yeah. I think the thing most that I feel like was the big change was maybe Andy's singing.
yeah, okay,
I feel like that kind of developed into its own thing on
right.
the second album. Even though
There's a couple, yeah.
There's a couple things, but
There's a couple.
I think some of his
big,
like inflections are trying to be a little more like stereotypical emo inflections on the first one. And it's not bad, but it's just I think on the second albums when he kind of had his own voice.
for sure. And then so on the first album, it's Wolves at Night, and
Mhm.
then it has some really, the lyrics are just really kind of haunting, or like, I think that's the one, have you seen My Baby Girl?
Mhm.
Right, yeah. And there's
Yeah.
like, it's just really interesting because it's very it's personal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I think that's what really is significant about Mean Everything to Nothing, is that quality. So that Wolves at
Mhm.
Night, I think, is the closest to a song that should be on the second album.
Yeah.
Lyrically, excitingly,
I think I think it also like features the keys a little more on
Yeah.
that one. Like has
Yeah.
that kind of church organ sound to it.
Yeah, exactly. But this one, okay. So the comparison to Phoebe Bridgers, I've got to tell you, I have to force myself to stop listening to Phoebe Bridgers.
Uh-huh.
And I kind of have to force myself to stop listening to this album too. Like I'm like, well, okay, I have listened to this 4 times in a row. I should probably I get
Yeah.
looped into it and I don't care that I'm looped into it. I will just keep looping into it.
Yeah.
So great, great band. Really, might not be for everyone, but I wish it would be because
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah. It's a thing, like I just checked because like they do feel kind of like a small band, but they have millions of listeners, like monthly listeners on Spotify, and I'm sure plenty of any other place. And so like
well,
people know who they are, but I've like almost I don't think I've ever met anyone who listens to them.
well. So this says 2.75 million listeners, right?
It's pretty good.
Monthly listeners. I just was listening to a playlist come through, and there's a I don't know if you ever even heard this band, but they're called Finger 11,
Oh yeah.
and they're
Well, I know
kind of
their one song.
a Paralyzer.
Yeah.
They have 5.4 million listeners a month. I'm like, they have more than one song, and they have.
I think
that
it's
many?
probably just that one song that people are listening to.
Well, yeah, that's
Maybe.
500. No, they have the first 4 songs are all over 40 million
Wow.
listens, and that Paralyzer is 500 million. It's really. I just I didn't realize that they were that big, but and it popped up. I'm like, oh, I should listen to these guys, and then they're huge, and they only have one, two. I mean, they're from 7 albums, well, that's quite a few, but.
Hmm.
But I was listening to them, I'm like, well, they're okay. But I think it's just the genre. It's like the Breaking Benjamin crowd.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, that's the music it is. And I think there's a limited number of those bands
Yeah.
because it was an era that just didn't last. and,
Yeah.
and so there's
And I bet probably some of the boost in numbers for Manchester is that Phoebe Bridgers cover. Because
sure.
that one has like 10 times as many views as or listens as anything else.
Well, yeah, that's pretty sad that their biggest listen is her version.
Hmm.
So that
Which
is
they did play on, which is cool. Like,
yeah, but
still, you know.
yeah, but you guys, they're better than that.
Yeah.
Just that. I mean, not that that's bad. It's just they are a talented group, so it really shouldn't be. You know, it is. They are obscure. They have a lot of listens, but they don't have. You know, you can see that they're listened to, but not in the numbers of some other bigger, more well-known bands. So I think they are fairly obscure still. So, which is good. It fits in this fits in the bracket of this series. If I go back and look at everything, I would have to say that you started off with probably the biggest, most popular album of the era, and then after that, you probably we talked about stuff that people would have to listen to how we talked about it to know about it in the first place.
Yeah.
For most people, because they just wouldn't have gotten to any of this. as you found out as you tried to do some research. So, which that's great. This is what this is for. This is to try and surprise each other and then try and surprise others. So,
yeah.
But good.
I think it's good. I like learning about stuff, just things that I probably missed that are still really interesting, despite maybe not having any like lasting or like cultural impact. And they probably do have a pretty significant impact. It's just you have to go looking for it.
Right. It's that thing where and these aren't really falling into that as much, but it's that thing of listening to the song or the item that started something, like the first surf guitar or the first rock and roll song or the first electronic music. And you listen to it and you're like, it's fine, but they kind of suck. I mean, there's better. Well, yeah, but it was the first. This is the first time anybody did this. You got to understand how significant this was. That's why it's important, and that's this. That's where it all comes in. Like early rap songs, the Grandmaster Flash is this huge long rap that just never ends, and anybody that was in hip hop and rap at the time says the fact that it's only 10 minutes long is the short version. Because this is how it was. They were in the club for doing a rap and making it up for an hour and a half at a time.
Wow.
That was just what happened. That was how it was back then. And so I think that's just amazing that, but this is what started it, man. This is so anyway, that's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. I really like this chunk of episodes.
Yeah.
I think it's one of my more favorite ones we've done because been a bit more like scope expanding for me at least.
Yeah. And it felt like I'm sure it's circumstantial, but it felt like more of a journey. Mm-hmm. It seemed like this group of them took a lot longer to produce. I know it's the same amount of time, but it just was a lot has happened. I guess if we go back, I can tell that the first one was January 30th. And a lot of has happened because that would have been recorded the week before. And we would have just been having a new baby in the house and things happening. And, just, all this has happened in the last 9 weeks. So,
yeah. Was it Casual Gods that was recorded in India?
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And it was almost the next one too, but then I had to escape from India because they blew up the Middle East. So, it's a lot has happened.
Right.
So anyway, it's good times. I'm enjoying it. This review has kind of inspired me to keep, excited for the next run and really seeing what this is and how we're talking about these, because there's been a lot more of collections of ideas than just single works. And there's all of it. Both of them exist in this, but just the few that were collections of stuff is great to talk about too. So
yeah.
Well, good. Well, we've chatted for a while, and so we'll call it off for, but
a good long while.
For a good long while. So you've been listening to Like Pigs in Space, an arts and culture podcast. I'm Aaron Mason.
And I'm Max Mason.
Thanks for listening. We've got another run coming up starting next week, so we'll be excited to bring you more then.
Bye.